Kitāb Al-Nawāmīs, or Liber Vaccae, the Book of the Cow. Welcome. Squirrel47, as one of my subscribers, has again asked me to research something. This time the Liber Vaccae, or Book of the Cow. Given its origins probably in the Islamic world, it's certainly something I should take an interest in, despite having to confess I don't know much about it. Now, I've thought long and hard about this. Do I need to place a warning on this vlog? And, you don't really listen to my channel if you're squeamish, do you? But probably the material contained in this vlog could be some of the most challenging to some people of any vlog I've created. So, if you are squeamish, this one isn't for you. Liber Aneguemis, or Liber Vaccae. Liber Aneguemis, or Liber Vaccae, is an Arabic compilation of alchemical grimoires, originally named Kitāb Al-Nawāmīs. It's thought to be a translation of a Hellenic text, possibly from the House of Wisdom in Baghdad that I've spoken about before. The Arabic edition was probably written 850, maybe 900, something like that. Although the full Arabic text doesn't survive. The work's contents are known through the Latin translation, which probably originated in Spain, and through Hebrew translations. It's been falsely attributed to Plato, Galen and Hunayn ibn Ishâq, who actually worked in the House of Wisdom. And the reason for this false attribution is probably because Plato did publish a book called the Book of the Cow, which, like so much of his work, was summarised by Galen. Liber Vaccae was controversial during the Middle Ages in Europe, as it was believed that it explicitly calls on demons to assist in the alchemical process. The various known versions of Liber Vaccae differ quite dramatically, suggesting that transcribers found some of the elements too transgressive or disgusting to even repeat it. It's not going to stop me, so be warned. In fact, all this is something of a misnomer, and certainly not from the surviving texts, which focus on natural rather than demonic magic. It does use incense and other fumigations, but there's no references to invocations or circles for protection. Furthermore, there's very limited reference to magical timing and the cosmos. So it really is much more of an alchemical grimoire than the sorts of grimoires more commonly found in medieval Europe. Indeed, it's very unlike the Picatrix or the Ayat al-Hakim, and certainly nothing like the Shams al-Marif, unless we treat its contents allegorically. Liber Vaccae comprised of sections on major and minor magic, and minor magic being concerned with the creations of lamps to create illusions, or much more sort of psychological magic, if you like. Whereas the major are much more profound forms of magic and transgressive. Nevertheless, it is possible that even the major magic is actually created through the illusion of the minor magic, and I think that's something that people have missed in their literal interpretations of it. It is possible that Liber Aneguemis was also called the Priatibus Memorandum Animalis, or on properties of animal members. Judging by the mentions of very similar mentions in similar experiments in medieval writings. although maybe it simply refers to and borrows from the Liber Vaccae. The homunculus and other spells. Liber Vaccae contains spells to create a homunculus, or little man, a living being created from the sperm of the alchemist and grown in the womb of the cow or a sheep. The alchemist impregnates the animal, sealing its vagina with a sunstone and smeared with the blood of the animal that has not been impregnated. The animal is then placed in a dark room and fed on the blood of this other animal that's not been impregnated. So it's very similar to the Jewish myth of the golem. It would also appear to be very much influenced by the Aristotelian theory of sexual reproduction. So there certainly are some links to Hellenistic thought. Whilst awaiting the birth or the conception, the magician creates a mixture of sunstone, sulphur, magnet, green tutia, stirred with the sap of a white willow. Once born, the homunculus is placed in this mixture and it immediately grows skin. It's said to be about 9 inches tall and largely translucent, having a sort of glass-like appearance. It's then placed in a glass jar or a lead vessel for 3 days until it becomes hungry, when it's fed on the decapitated blood of its mother until it begins to grow. If the homunculus itself is decapitated and the magician drinks its blood, the magic will become a cow or a sheep. If kept in the dark for 40 days fed on blood and milk, its intestines, when rubbed on the hands, will allow the magician to walk on water. It can also be used for divination if kept alive for a year and placed in a bath of milk and rainwater. As an alternative, a monkey can be impregnated. If an eye wash is made of the resultant homunculus's brain and eyes, it enables the magician to see spirits, or if drunk, to be able to speak with spirits. Supposedly, the Ordo Templi Orientalis member Jack Parsons attempted to create a homunculus, although I'm not sure that it was directly using spells from the Liber Vaccae. Most probably he was using spells that came from Paracelsus, admittedly maybe influenced by the Liber Vaccae. Much of the grimoire is based on sympathetic magic. It contains procedure for creating a stone of invisibility, which can be worn around the neck as an amulet, making the wearer invisible. There are many spells contained in it, including one which turns armies into giants, and turning cows into bees, and vice versa, bees into cows. Rather amusingly, great use is made of a dog's penis to beat both live and dead animals. There's a spell to make a woman break wind, and to make a man believe that he is black. The Alchemical Process. Medieval Christian transcribers and commentators were very keen to discredit Jewish and Islamic mysticism. Is it possible that what we know of Liber Vaccae is an example of their propaganda? It's just a suggestion. In fact, it was not known that it was not so much the homunculus that offended them, so much as the idea of crossbreeding of animals, especially men and animals. Although, of course, a fair amount of evidence that such transgressions were fairly common in the medieval period, and the church was particularly keen on stamping it out. Certainly the philosopher and physician Thomas Albano believed it to be no more than tricks and a sleight of hand. Henry Agrippa did doubt the validity of Liber Vaccae and did not doubt the validity of Liber Vaccae and took its contents literally, claiming that it was against the laws of nature. And now I have to say there's much debate amongst alchemists whether or not alchemical texts should be taken literally, or as Young believed that they were about psychological transformations. And it won't come as a surprise to you to hear that I tend to follow Young's view on this, but there are many people who disagree vehemently with it. For example, the Philosopher's Stone is not about transmuting lead into gold, but transmuting the soul from the ego to become closer to God. In fact, Young actually equates the Homunculus with the Philosopher's Stone and the inner person in parallel with Christ. So this has really got me thinking if we should be interpreting it very differently from the literal interpretations of the West. A good many alchemical texts appear to use natural substances, but are actually references to psychological process. Nevertheless, and arguing against myself, alchemy did give rise to modern chemistry. I mean, there is plenty of evidence that was the case. So certainly some practitioners did see such experiments as literal. Indeed, there is some evidence that they did succeed in literally turning lead into gold. Maybe not in sufficient quantities to be commercially viable, but there is evidence that it was done. However, it's all got me thinking, is there another way of seeing this all? Well, I turn to Surat Al-Baqarah from the Al-Quran, or alternatively translated as, it can also be called Surat Al-Baqarah, which means the heifer or the cow, and it's the second longest chapter or surat in Al-Quran. It consists of 286 verses, ayat, which begin with the mysterious letters mushquat, A, L and M. In recitation of these letters, alif, lam and mim are used, but not their sounds. The surat addresses a very wide variety of topics, including substantial amounts of law, and retells stories about Adam, Ibrahim or Abraham, and Musa or Moses. A major theme is guidance, urging pagans, al-Mushrikeen, and the Jews of Medina to embrace Islam, and warning them that the hypocrites, the munafiqun, of the fate of God had visited those in the past who'd failed to heed his call. Surat Al-Baqarah contains the Ayat Al-Kursi, the throne, the footstool, or as I translate it, the chair, and maybe the most mystical sections from Al-Quran. And indeed, I've previously mentioned it many times, and I've issued a vlog which recites it. So it's very important to me and my faith. It's often used to ward off jinn, to protect black magic, and it's chanted out during ruqyah or Islamic exorcisms. I'll read it for you. Allah, there is no deity except Him, the ever-living, the sustainer of all existence. Neither drowsiness overtakes Him nor sleep. To Him belonging whatever is in heaven and whatever is on earth. Who it is that can intercede with Him except by His permission. He knows what is presently before them, and what will be after them, and what they encompass, not a thing of his knowledge except for what he wills. His Kursi extends over the heavens and the earth, and the preservation tires him not, and he is the Most High, the Most Great. So what I'm arguing is, far from invoking demons and being demonic, it is actually a metaphor, a metaphor, pointing, or an allegory, pointing us to Ayat Al-Kursi, which offers us protection from jinn and black magic. Now, of course, this is pure conjecture on my behalf. But is it possible that medieval commentators completely misinterpreted Liber Vaccae in this way? As I say, they were certainly on a mission to discredit Jews and Muslims. Could it be more about getting closer to God through suppressing the ego to bring back the Jungian sense? Certainly, Ayat al-Kursi would be very important in this sort of transformation. And, this would be typical of the allegorical methods of the Sufis who worked in the House of Wisdom. Having said all that, it would be difficult to see how such an allegorical interpretation could have come from a translated Greek document, unless heavily embellished. Then, of course, it might have been heavily embellished. Furthermore, the Arabic title, Kitāb Al-Nawāmīs, does not refer to the cow, Baqarah, but translates to the Book of Laws. Unfortunately, there are neither full Greek nor Arabic texts, so I guess my theory can never be tested. As a postscript, what I would say is that my hero, Dr. John Dee, held Liber Vaccae in high regard. In fact, he had 2 copies of it in his library. And whilst he may have interpreted it allegorically, it's most unlikely that he arrived at the same conclusion as I. Well, I really hope you've enjoyed this vlog, and if you have, can you help me out a little? Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, and then you'll be notified of future vlogs, but also hit the like button and make a comment, because these seem to be what determine the YouTube algorithm, and I'm being really punished by it. So whatever help I can get from you is so appreciated. It really is. When I started this, I was going to do it this section, the real magic of Java. I was going to issue maybe every 2-3 months. Now it's happening maybe every 2 or 3 days. So yeah, if you hit the bell, you'll hear about it. And thank you so much. Thank you for listening. Really heartfelt thanks.